right, so this is kind of stems from my podcast. I've done 3 episodes on my Cajun Demonologist podcast called Demonology Gumbo. And basically what I've done was I just answered some of the questions that I received in text messages or emails throughout the year that I felt that was valid. So I want to take it one step further, and we are going to do a live Q&A. So if you guys have any questions pertaining to spiritual warfare, demonology in general, please feel free to leave a message in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them. And by the way, I don't mind hard questions. I like to be challenged. So whatever you want, put it out there, man. If I can answer it, I'll do it. If not, I'll tell you I can't. I may warn you guys, I'm like extremely exhausted. I'm going on a 48-hour shift, but we are going to try to get through this without me falling asleep on you guys. So we have 5 people joining so far. No messages yet. Oh, all right. So Bart says, hi, Jeremy. Hi, Bart. Let's see. Kaylee. Hey, Kaylee. Haven't heard from you in a while, my friend. All right. Pauline, good evening. Look, I can't spell any of the girls, so don't feel bad. Nina is here. See, Nina? I told you wasn't going to miss it. All right, so we're going to do this for 1 hour. And if you guys have any questions, please put them in the comments. So I have some questions that people left. I originally made a post yesterday, and here are some of the comments. All right, so question number 1. How did you decide to become a demonologist? Well, I can promise you this. I didn't wake up one day or whenever we had career day at school and say, hey, guess what? I want to be a demonologist. Yeah, I want to mess with demonic entities. I can promise you that did not happen. I got into, all right, let's tell the story, right? So I got into the paranormal field to show you guys how long this was. There was a popular paranormal show that I was watching that kind of got me interested in paranormal. It was called Ghost Lab, right? So that goes to show you how far back, right? So I was at my cousin's house. We were drinking some booze, having some fun, watching Ghost Lab on television. And we decided to go play paranormal investigator in our family cemetery. Well, we ended up capturing something on video that we couldn't really explain. So then we formed Paranormal Society of Ponchatoula. And we got really popular really quick in the area we lived in. I mean, back then you didn't have near the amount of paranormal teams you have now. So to say that I truly believed in ghosts at that point in time, I can't really say that I did. I thought it was cool when the little lights on your gadget, like a K2 meter and stuff like that, would go off. But what got me was the thought of having a door slam in your face by something that was not there. That's both terrifying and thrilling at the same time. So to make a long story short, I was a thrill junkie, nothing more. I really didn't even take paranormal too serious. Well, all that changed whenever we got a call from a woman that lives in a small country town not far from where I live called Mount Hermon, Louisiana. She claimed that she went to the Myrtles Plantation. If you guys don't know what the Myrtles Plantation is, it is a very popular tourist destination plantation. She claimed she went there and a demon followed her home and it was terrorizing her and her 3 daughters. So you mean to tell me that you went to a plantation where thousands of people go every year and a demon followed you home? Okay. Hey, if you let us film it and put it on YouTube, we'll come. So she agreed, and we always went and done a client interview before we went and brought the team and set up everything, because look, we had a lot of equipment, right? We had a trailer that pulled behind it. It was a Bronco, and it had big jacked up tires on it. It was like Bigfoot monster truck. And so we went to the house, and she suffers from Parkinson's disease. Joy probably weighed about 90 pounds soaking wet, if that. She was very frail. She talked very slow. And she showed us a picture that she captured there, and she said it was an orb. Now, I'll tell you, it was nothing more than dust, right? And she said it had fangs in it, and you could see a little face. Anyway, she became obsessed, and I do mean obsessed, with this photograph. So after about 5 minutes, I got a short attention span, so I decided I was going to kind of venture off on my own. So I grabbed a K2 meter, and it's an old farmhouse. So the old part of the house has a newer part that's built onto it, and where the new construction in the old house is a hallway that goes straight through the entire house. So I'm going through the hallway, and the master bedroom was to my right. And I remember some of the things she said that was going on in there, and I'm thinking to myself, I ain't going in there by myself, all right? So straight across from the master bedroom, there is a bathroom. Now, there's a door going in one side and a door going out the other, so you can go straight through it. And as I walk into the bathroom, there's a big double vanity mirror that was to my right. It covered the entire wall. So as soon as I walked in the room, my K2 meter spiked, and I mean, it went all the way to red. And I was like, whoa, check this out, man. And I happened to look up, and I'm looking in the mirror, and standing behind me, there is a solid figure. Now, when you think of ghosts or spirits, you think of kind of like this translucent, material. No, this thing was as solid as a human being. It was 7 foot tall, and the only reason I know that is because his head came right to the door frame. The one thing that I noticed almost instantly was his arms were really elongated. As it was standing there, his arms came past his kneecaps, and he had really long fingers. So as I make my way up to his head, it was bald-headed, and his head was shaped like an egg, kind of. It's hard to explain. There were eyes. There were nothing else. There was no nose, no mouth, no nothing. Guys, it scared me so bad. This big country boy ran out of there, ran to where my cousin was, and I said, I need to talk to you outside right now. And I explained to him what I had saw. Now, if you know my cousin, he's a bodybuilder. He's about 6'2", big muscle man. When I told him what I saw, he changed to like a pale gray. I really shocked him. And he looked at me and said, Jeremy, I know you're telling me the truth right now, because she just described this thing to me. And I know you didn't hear it because you're deaf. I said, we have to get out of here right now. Now, say this. When we were having this conversation outside, there was not a cloud in the sky. Perfect summer night, stars, not a cloud in the sky. We go inside, tell her we're leaving. So we were inside no more than 5 minutes, went back outside. There is one black, massive storm cloud straight on top of the house. And I remember the wind was blowing so bad that it blew one of the garbage cans across the yard. That's one thing that I remember. We jumped in the car, and I was driving. The vehicle we were in had power locks, and they kept malfunctioning. They were popping up and down until we got out of the driveway. I got home that night, and I started thinking, one image stuck in my mind. There was an air mattress in the living room, and they had crucifix all the way around it. That's where they slept at night. There were 3 young girls that was involved in this, and I guess being a father, I really got to thinking, right? And I come up with the bright idea, well, if I can't help them, I'll at least go to, a church or whatever and try to get her some help. So that's what I did. I went to a local Baptist church, and I told the minister what was going on, and I kind of got the feeling that he was like, son, you need to stay away from people like that. In other words, he didn't want nothing to do with it. So, which kind of shocked me. So then I went to the Catholic church where I live, talked to the priest, and from what I got from the priest was that if she wasn't Catholic, because he kept asking if is she Catholic, and I told her no. I told him no, and I got the feeling that, well, if she ain't Catholic, then the church can't get involved. And I was really beside myself. So I went home, and Jeremy, he's got that big old heart, right? So I decided, well, there's nobody else to do it but me. So I went on a crash course of learning everything that I could about demons and demonology and all this stuff. I would go to work, come home and study. I spent the next 6 months of my life, that family, off and on, being a barrier between it and that entity. Finally, we were able to find somebody that was performed an exorcism or a deliverance on her. And after that, I got out of the paranormal field because I seen the dark side. I didn't want nothing to do with it anymore. So what happened was I wrote a book about my experience. It's called The Dwelling, a Dark Entity. And about a month after the book was published, I got a friend request from a priest. And his message was something along the lines of, he read my book and he wanted to just give his gratitude because I didn't make myself out to be a hero in the book at all. I'd done a lot of things that could have got me, or especially those three little girls, hurt. But I didn't know any better, right? And he told me he was a retired exorcist with the church for 30 years. And of course, at that point, he had my full attention, because one thing that always bothered me was, why did that entity show itself to me? That's something that always weighed on my mind. And I asked him, and he said, Jeremy, think about this. Demons never will reveal themselves unless they feel threatened, okay? That entity was threatened by you. And I'm like, what? That entity was threatened by me? Come on. He's like, think about it, Jeremy. You went back to that house to help that family for no other reason than to help them. You done it selflessness, all right? You had nothing to gain. That is powerful, my friend. That is powerful. That is called pure of heart. And that entity knew that. So it tried to scare me so that I would leave and never come back, which he almost accomplished. So, we struck up a friendship, kind of like he was like a father figure to me in a way. And after a while, he asked me, he said, Jeremy, I want to train you in the art of exorcism and demonology. And the first time he brought it to me, I said, no. But finally, I gave in, and he trained me. And one thing I could say about, me and learning, God always put the right people in front of me at the right time when I needed to further my knowledge on the subjects. Demonology is a very complex subject. The literature of the word is very complex. And one of the hardest things is trying to explain such a complex topic to someone that absolutely knows nothing about it, so that they can understand what I'm telling them. And, I can say that's a gift that I have. I have a very unique way of taking demonology, which is a very complex subject, and simplifying it so that people can understand exactly what I'm saying. If you're listening to my podcast, you would know that. So I studied for about 3 years before I actually became active. And over the course of the years, I've tried to run from it several times because it's very dark, man. It's a very dark life. And it takes a little bit of your life every case that you do, but it was like the more that I ran from it, the more it got shoved down my throat. So finally I just learned to embrace it. And that's how I became a demonologist. Let's see. Have you ever been possessed or dealt with someone who has been possessed? Pauline, yes, I have. I have performed 6 what you would call full exorcisms. I don't call them exorcisms. I do not use the Roman Catholic rite, okay? I actually write my own ritual. And in my opinion, when I do that, it's more powerful because it's specific to the case. So, most people don't know that demons cannot just see you walking down the road and say, I want to possess somebody. It doesn't work that way. Demons cannot do anything against our free will, right? So, most people don't understand that. You have to, in fact, invite a demon into your life, okay? That is why the actual Roman rite is called the rite of exorcism, because you break the legal right that the entity has. So, yes, I have. I've seen some crazy stuff. I'm not going to really go into details with it, but yes, I have. Have you ever been possessed or dealt with somebody that was, I've never been possessed. But Jeremy got cocky one time, and I done an investigation, and there was a portal. It was a mirror, and I removed it from the home. I meant to dispose of it, but I brought it home and it sat in my garage for about 2 or 3 months, and my wife said that my attitude and my demeanor started to change. I thought she was crazy. And a good friend of mine named Bill Freeman came down from Pennsylvania, and he noticed it too. And my wife talked to him about it, and he basically, he didn't perform an exorcism on me because I was not possessed, but I was being influenced, is the best way to put it. So lesson learned, I never bring an object home anymore. Let's see here. What is the difference between a demonic and a dark entity? All right, so a demon, all right, is a spiritual being, all right? That is a demon. A dark entity is just what you would call a really negative spirit. You can have an earthbound spirit is what you would call an evil spirit, okay? So there's two types of energies in the world. There's positive energy and negative energy, okay? And they both draw in and feed off of themselves. So in other words, positive energy will draw in or feed off of positive energy. Negative energy will draw or feed off of negative energy. Okay, you can't have one without the other. Both these principles have to exist, and they cannot be manipulated. Okay, so if you have a negative type spirit that feeds off of negative energy, think of it as an all-day Chinese buffet, right? He's going to sit there and he eats. He's soaking up that negative energy. And the more energy that spirit soaks up, the more powerful that it becomes, and the more ability that that spirit has to be able to manifest into the terrestrial or the physical world that we live in, okay? Now, so with that being said, earthbound spirits have to draw energy from something to be able to manifest into the physical world, okay? Demons, on the other hand, do not. They do not have to draw energy from anything. I've had washing machine thrown at me from across the room. Think about that, guys. A washing machine, that is a lot of energy, all right? And that thing slung it across there like it was nothing, okay? So that is the difference between a evil spirit or a negative earthbound spirit and a demonic entity. A demonic entity is a pure spiritual being, which means it was never a human being. See what we got here? You were amazing and you helped people. Oh, Nina. You know, I worked with Nina, been probably about 6, 7, 8 years ago, huh? We done a very interesting case together. And Nina was being influenced that night by something. But we were able to get through it, right, my friend? All right, so Mary, do you cast out demons in Jesus' name? Yes, I do. I am 100% Christian, my friend. If you listen to any of my podcasts, you will know that I have been given the authority to tread on the heads of serpents and cast out demons by my Lord and Savior. And I always keep myself very humble with that. And I understand that it is a gift that is given to me. Okay, so I never get arrogant or anything like that whenever it comes to spiritual warfare, because I know that it can be taken away from me in the blink of an eye. And guess what? I'm going to be in a heaping world of trouble the next time I try to go up against a demonic entity. It will completely destroy my life. So yes, I do. I cast out demons in the name of Jesus Christ. All right. All right. So the next question that I have is here. All right, so after taking your class, how prepared would I be should I encounter a demonic entity? Well, if you think by taking my class, which consists of 8 weeks, if you take both the demonology and spiritual warfare course, if you think after 8 weeks you're going to be able to go and cast out demons, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Look, if you truly feel that this is a calling in your life, you have to be a true student of it, okay? You have to be a true student of the craft. There's so much literature that you have to know. There are so many things that you have to know. However, what my class does is give you a solid foundation, okay, in which to build your knowledge on. There are some very fundamental things that one must know in order to engage in spiritual warfare. Like one, what demons can and cannot do, okay? Believe it or not, demons cannot just do whatever they want. They are bound by the heavenly law, okay? So understanding these things that most people in the public have no idea. They only know what they see in Hollywood on TV and stuff like that, right? And that's only part of the truth, okay? So the course is designed to teach you the fundamental skills, okay, which to grow your own craft. That is the way the course is designed. All right, so what is the scariest case you've ever dealt with? Well, do you guys ever heard of a show called Paranormal Witness? All right, have you ever seen the episode called The Demon House? Okay, I was the minister that exercised that house. I have to say that was probably one of the most scariest cases. And that's saying a lot for me because you see, there's two people. There's two sides of me. There's Jeremy Leonard, the goofy, chubby, fat guy that you see every day. And then there's the Cajun demonologist, right? I become the Cajun demonologist when I have to. It is not my life. It's just part of me, okay? So when I become the Cajun Demonologist, I know exactly what I have to do. And I focus my mind very strictly. I control my thoughts. That way I can't be manipulated. So, like today, the washing machine was thrown at me. I didn't get scared until afterwards when I sat down and thought about what had happened. Because living in that moment, I have a goal, something I have to accomplish, right? And again, demons do not reveal themselves until they feel threatened, right? So when you come to demonologist, they feel threatened. That's when the nastiness comes out. And they're going to do whatever they can to get you out of there, okay? But you have to be strong. You have to be steadfast. You got to be focused on what you are there to accomplish. Because at any point, if you're saying a ritual or a deliverance or an exorcism or whatever, if that demon could get you sidetracked, everything that you have done up until that point gets undone, okay? And they will try their best to distract you, whatever the case may be. That is the way it's designed. So the Demon House, if you haven't seen it on Paranormal List, even if they've done a really crappy job on that episode, so they went to point A, all right, to point E and just skipped everything in between, right? There was so much more that happened in the house that was not on the episode. And, Paranormal Witness has a thing. They don't like to have paranormal investigators on their show. It's not the way that their show is their platform, right? It's all about the victim, the person that's experienced it. So the person that played me was like this old bald guy. And I'm like, does it look like I'm bald? I'm not bald. But anyway, if you haven't seen it, a matter of fact, you can go to my website. Go to my website. I have some clips on there about it. It's jeremyleonard.net. Guys, I got so much stuff on my website that you can do. My podcast links are there. Videos from Ghost of Morgan City, behind the scenes stuff from Ghost of Morgan City. I talk about my roots, where I come from, all that good stuff. All right, let's see. The next question says, who is your favorite paranormal team? Well, was there any doubt? I mean, it's Fox Paranormal, right? How could you go wrong with Fox Paranormal? I mean, your team is named after something that can't decide on whether it's a cat or a dog. So, yeah, you can't go wrong, man. I'm Fox Paranormal all the way. Let's see. Priest in Morgan City, my dad was the altar boy, and my dad would have been with the day he died. So you're talking about the minister? What was his name? Oh my God. So speaking of that, let me go into episode 8 of Ghost of Morgan City, where I wore the God helmet or the ghost helmet. Forget what Katie calls it. Guys, that was quite an experience that I had there. And I'm gonna tell you what you saw there is 100% true. Nothing was exaggerated, nothing was faked, anything. That was 100% legit. And it's one of those events that really impacted my life, because I saw things not with the mind's eye, but wearing that helmet. So what the helmet does is, psychic mediums use the opposite side of their brain to be able to tap into the celestial world or the spiritual world. So when you put on the helmet, there's two magnets that's pushing against your brain, and then there's lights that flash in your eyes, and you have earplugs in, and there's a tone, right? It's based off of the same principles as MK Ultra, which was an experimental thing that the government did in the 50s and the 60s. So putting the helmet on, I know on the episode it looks like I started experiencing paranormal stuff almost instantly. Remember, that's television, guys. It was probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so before I started experiencing anything. And when everything first started coming through, let's see, the best way to describe what it was like visually. So think of a book. You draw in it, and whenever you thumb through the pages real fast, it moves. That's kind of what it was like in the beginning. But the longer I had the helmet on, the more that I was experiencing, the more clearer things got. I literally seen holes dug where the park is now. There was a minister standing there, but at the time his back was facing toward me. To my left, there was a horse buggy, and they had some black bags. I imagine it was bodies in the back of the horse carriage. I couldn't really tell. And I'm watching this. I'm watching this as if I am living in that time. And then all of a sudden, it was like this wall of emotion hit me when the minister turned around. I felt everything that he felt. He lost his 2 children during the yellow fever pandemic. And for those of you who don't know, that back in those days when you had the yellow fever, they basically put you in a group away from society and waited for you to die. All right. That's basically what it was like, being imprisoned. Now, as a minister, he had a duty to give last rites to dying people. And during this process, both his children ended up getting the yellow fever, and they both passed away, and he was not there. He could not be there the moment they died. And he was very grief-stricken by this. And I felt it. I felt the pain. I felt everything. And at first I thought he was of a negative nature because of that he had hate. He resented God because he had a duty to do, but he wasn't there for his own family. But that wasn't it at all. His faith was never shaken. Okay, he had a calling, okay, and that's what he done. But as a father, he still grieved, right? All he wanted was for people to remember. So I think, from every case that we done in Morgan City, to me, had a theme. It was treat people with human dignity and respect, which is something this world needs a lot more of. Look, Ghost of Morgan City was a great experience for me. I couldn't ask for 2 more better cast members than Ben and Sarah. Sarah is a very powerful psychic medium, and I'm not impressed by psychic mediums that easily, but she really is.